Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
David!
Gagan!
We got it third time, bud. We're just like Klopp.
We're like professionals here.
Fucking third time lucky.
Poor people listening in.
That has never happened before, so it's a good sign. Anyway, we are back. It's international break after what has been a pretty unbelievable run from Liverpool FC, Dave. You have to say, in all honesty, I don't think it could be any better. In the last few weeks, all the stuff that they got wrong previously, we've pretty much nailed in the last 6 weeks or so to get ourselves back into a Premier League title race and fighting on two more fronts. We've won the other one. But I suppose the big question today that we want to talk about, that everybody's talking about, that everybody has a different opinion on, can Liverpool do the quadruple? Before you answer just with a yes or no, I think this is a much bigger question than people give it credit for. I don't think a yes or no is the answer. I think we have to look at a whole bunch of things, and that's what we're going to do right now, aren't we? We're going to go through literally the whole caboodle. There's the fixtures, the opponents, the congestion, the chance of fatigue, the form, and maybe even look at City's fixtures at the same time. All of that stuff needs to be taken into account because it's not going to be just us that's going to face this. They have got literally the same 3 competitions to go for. So a lot of people are forgetting that a treble's on for them too, right? Exactly the same way that it is for us. So
that's the thing.
Yeah. So we need to really temper that, and let's do this discussion because it's on. Let's be honest, it's fucking possible. But how possible? Yeah,
okay,
how possible?
It's a maybe. And
how possible is it?
I'd tell you if you'd let me start.
For once, I get to speak, and he's like fucking pissed off.
It's a maybe, and it's the fact that it's a maybe is a massive achievement in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because for most clubs, it's a no. It's a no early in the season. Some clubs get knocked out of the League Cup early. Some clubs go out of the FA Cup in January. Most clubs don't have any shot at winning the Premier League at all, and even fewer clubs have a real shot at winning the Champions League. So it's a maybe. We've won down. The League Cup is won, and we're all very happy about that. We've got a favourable path in the Champions League. Benfica is probably the easiest draw we could have gotten. Yeah. And you would rather be on our side getting Villarreal or Bayern, most likely Bayern, in the semi-final than on the other side getting Chelsea, Real Madrid or Man City.
Yeah.
They'll take care of each other. There's 5 teams left in the Champions League that can win it. There's us, Bayern, Real, Chelsea and City. And people should throw out the Real performance and result of the weekend. They literally couldn't have been less arsed about that game against Barcelona. The title pretty much wrapped up. They just went out to get the game over and done with. Their focus is on winning the Champions League. There's 5 clubs that can win it. There's 3 on the other side of the draw, including, I would say the 3 strongest clubs in Europe are all from England. And I know people will argue that Chelsea aren't on the level of Liverpool and City, and I agree when it comes to the Premier League. But in the Champions League, I do think they are because they're really well set up and they have experience of winning it last year.
You think they're better than Bayern as well, dude?
In this year's Champions League, yes. Bayern have too many holes for me. Bayern
Okay.
are weak at centre-back. They're weak at right-back. Alphonso Davies has had a heart issue and hasn't played since January. They've got no depth in central midfield. And they've got no depth up front. If Robert Lewandowski gets hurt, as he did last year, they're starting Choupo-Moting up front. So you can look at the Chelsea team and you can say, well, you know, they could improve that, they could improve that. But the bottom line with Chelsea is, defensively, their system and structure are excellent. The individuals aren't great, but they're coached brilliantly and set up really well. They can control games against anybody in the middle of the park. And up front, they've got match winners. Laugh at Lukaku all you want. The guy can win matches. Havertz is a match winner. Mason Mount is a match winner. Pulisic can be a match winner. So they've got options up front.
Werner off the bench with the pace. Even though he can't score, he could just make those runs.
Something.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
so that's why I would look at them as more of a threat than I would Bayern. Because I look at Bayern and I see great keeper. I really like Lucas Hernandez, but I don't like any of the rest of the centre-backs at a high level. Upamecano, very raw, very rash, makes a lot of mistakes, not having a good season. Nicolas Soule has already agreed to sign for their biggest rivals in the summer. So how committed is he? Yeah. Benji Pavard is a centre-back masquerading as a right-back. As I said, Alphonso Davies has a heart issue. He's back in training, I believe, but how much is he going to be able to play between now and the end of the season?
And form. How quickly is he going to get back up to speed?
That's it. And then you move into midfield. They've got Kimmich and Goretzka. They're both world class. But if either of them are out, Quarantine Tolisso? No thanks. They're world class in the wide areas. They've got a great number 10 and a great 9. But if either of them are out, there's a big drop off, especially as in the number 9 position. So I think they have too many holes. They're a great team when everybody's fit.
Yeah,
but I think there's too many holes.
I'm coming round to your way of thinking, and I think Chelsea, even though everybody's got this big negative thing against them right now and all that, and we always do, we hate them, but let's be honest, the biggest worry we've had in the last 6 to 8 weeks in any game was Chelsea. They literally diced us up, right? We haven't conceded that many big chances for a long time in that game. It was just proper basketball, and they get that out of us, and yeah, we created chances too, but on another day, it could have been very different, very, very different. And a lot of them maybe offside too, but there was still very high, decent XG from them in that game and from us as well. So, like I said, you're right. Keeping away from City and Chelsea is massive for us. And you've convinced me as well that Bayern and Villarreal are awesome to play against for the next round. Now,
yeah, like Villarreal are a good team.
Yeah, but they're not City or Chelsea.
No, they're mid-table in La Liga.
No.
And, I mean, they're more a Europa League team. They're very good in Europe because whatever we want to say about Unai Emery, he's very good in Europe. There's very few managers who are better than him in a two-legged European tie. He just has a knack of getting the best out of players at the right times, about getting his decisions right, his tactical setup, his substitutions, in-game changes, things like that he's very, very good at. You don't want Emery for a league campaign, but for a European campaign, he's the type of guy you would go for. But the talent disparity between us and them is massive. I mean, United beat them. United are garbage. They beat Juventus, but this is the worst Juventus team in a decade.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't really tell you a whole lot.
Klopp's faced Emery before, right?
Klopp has faced Emery before. Klopp knows all about Emery.
And dicked him as well.
Yeah, but then, you go back to the Europa League final that you were at.
True.
Emery got the better of him there. So, there's a bit of give and take with this, but that shows the calibre of the manager. He obviously won Europa League last season as well. I think he's won it 4 times. That's really impressive.
He's good.
So, but he's not good enough to make up for the talent gap between Villarreal and us. He's just not.
Not at all.
Don't think Nagelsmann is a good enough manager yet to really trouble Klopp. We've seen Klopp go against Nagelsmann before, and I think with Nagelsmann, what he does that's his downfall is a little bit like Guardiola. He tries to be too clever, and he overthinks things, and he gets he ends up with a big flaw somewhere, and he's not quick enough to fix it. So while Bayern are a really good team, and if everybody's fit, they'll be very, very tough. I think we get through over them. I would rather play them than play Chelsea, who we've played 3 times this season and haven't beaten once in regulation time.
Nope.
I'd rather play Bayern than City. I'd rather play Bayern than Real Madrid. Even though I think Bayern are a better team than Real, there's just so much experience of winning this competition in that Real Madrid team. Like, you've still got the same midfield who won 4 European Cups in 5 years. You know, you've still got old heads around the building who can grab those youngsters and let them know what's expected, who can manage their way through games. You've got Karim Benzema in the form of his life. Again, another one who won 4 in 5 years, who just knows how to play these games. So the idea that only one of them is waiting for us in the final is really appealing to me. I think the draw worked out really well for us.
One-off game suits us better, doesn't it? For that.
Yeah, against these type of teams, I think so. I do think so. I'd be worried about Real more in the final than I would City or Chelsea, to be honest. Even though I think City and Chelsea are better teams than Real, one game, there's just something about Real Madrid in the Champions League final. There's just something about them. They've won, like, the last 7 Champions League finals, they've won them all.
Yeah, it's time to break that, I think.
You know, it's just what they do. They win finals. And
it's also got Liverpool. If it happens, it'd be just another one of those stories, isn't it?
That's it. But they've also got Carlo, who's won 3. He'd very much like to win a 4th and become the first manager to do that. So, yeah, I think the draw worked out really well for us. But look, the fact that we're here and we're talking about this shows how well our season's going. We're in the FA Cup. I'd rather play City in the semi-final than the final, because not that I think it's easy to beat them in either game, but I'd rather not lose the final to City. Like, they'd just be absolutely insufferable. They're bellends as it is. Yeah. We've already beaten Chelsea in one domestic final, and I think we can do it again if we get them. I assume they'll beat Palace, but you never know. You never know. We could beat Chelsea. We could beat City, and Chelsea could lose to Palace, and then we could get Palace in the final. But look, the fact that it's even a maybe at this point, can we do the treble? Just think of how far we've come as a club. Like, we were losing 6-1 to Stoke only 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. You know, we were saying goodbye to Gerrard, wondering if we'd ever have anyone like him again. We'd lost Suarez the previous summer. We didn't think we'd get anyone like him for years and years to come. Brendan was on an absolute mission to sign all the mid-table dross. And it looked really bleak. I genuinely, in all the time I've supported the club, going back to the 80s, that summer 2015 is about the bleakest time I can remember, because even under Souness, we still had all the kind of memories of all the success we'd had.
We weren't getting talked like that, though.
No, and then, like, you got Evans, and the football was outstanding, and there was a group of exciting players like McManaman and Fowler. We knew we had Owen coming. You know, we had a really exciting group of players. Under Houllier, we were winning things. Under Benitez, we won things, and we had this reputation in Europe as the team no one wanted to play. Even with Hodgson, because you knew the Hodgson thing was never going to last. You knew that as soon as we got new owners in, which everyone knew was going to happen, Hodgson would be gone. One of the first things the owners would do, purely to get the fans on board, would be they'd get rid of this obnoxiously unpopular manager. And I've said this about a couple of other clubs, including Newcastle. If you're an unpopular owner, the best thing you can have is an unpopular manager. Mike Ashley appointed Steve Bruce because he knew Newcastle fans would hate him, and it would deflect their attention away from Mike Ashley. Hicks and Gillette appointed Hodgson because it was deflecting attention away from them. He became the target of all our annoyance because of the stupid things he'd say, the horrific football, the bad results. That was a really well calculated appointment. Get rid of Rafa, who the fans adored, appoint someone that was never going to get on board, or the fans were never going to get on board with. That was really clever, but we knew it was going to come to an end. Then we got Kenny. And even though at times the football was horrible, it was Kenny. You know, it was Kenny, and we won something. But more to the point, it was Kenny Dalglish. And then we had that, you know, good season and a half under Rodgers from January 2013 to the end of 14. And then it all went to shit. And going into that summer 2015, when he walked into that meeting, he threw his staff under the bus and he got given the go-ahead to stay as manager. And he went and he signed a bunch of dross. Like, it was just so bleak. And, you know, you knew Klopp was out there, but you thought he's going to go somewhere else now because we've hitched our wagon to this absolute spoofer here. But to now, 7 years later, be looking at it and thinking, we've got one of the best managers in the world. We're in the mix for a quadruple. You go through our team and there's 5 or 6 world-class players and, you know, there's all this exciting young talent coming through the academy now, and we're being linked with top-class players, and we genuinely can go and get them if we want them. The turnaround in this club in the last 7 years is just... It's not even a full 7 years. I mean, Klopp is only here 6.5 years. It's just incredible from where we were with no hope, no chance of winning anything. You might win a League Cup if you were lucky under Rodgers, to all of a sudden we're sitting here in the middle of March talking about a potential quadruple. And it's not like one of those things where we need City to collapse to win the league. We just need to win our games. We win our games, we're league champions. So, like, you know what? You are convincing me of that this is even more possible now, because I was going to come in with that there's a reason why no one's done this before. Oh, and there is. Yeah, you know, because it's like, so hard. It's really hard. And the fixtures coming up were going to be a nightmare. But that Champions League draw, Dave, is what might just become the saviour, right? So let's just quickly go through these fixtures, and it'll tie all this together, what you've been saying. So Saturday the 2nd, Watford at home. Tuesday the 5th, 3-day turnaround, Benfica away. Now, Benfica being the key, as you already stated, even Themis was saying on your incision, their defenders, their centre-backs, we've played before. We've destroyed before. I think the Liverpool attack will be licking their lips, looking at them two again. Otamendi and the other Jan Vertonghen and Otamendi, like two lads who were past their best 3 years ago. They're like corpses now. Like, there's some good players in that Benfica team, but there's no one who starts for us. The only one that would have a chance in the next 12 to 18 months would be Darwin Núñez. And maybe this is just an opportunity for Klopp to fall in love with him. Exactly. So it could be a double benefit. But they're exactly the team you want in the quarterfinals, because Villarreal are no better than them, but Villarreal have better European pedigree of late and are more gnarly, a little bit more cynical, a little bit more horrible to play against, and they have Emery. Whereas Benfica are in flux. They've got a caretaker manager. There's chaos in the boardroom. There's been people arrested because of financial mismanagement of the club. A lot of the players are starting to look at, am I going to be here next year? Am I not? Yeah. You know, so like that's ideal. That is absolutely, that's a really nice start to the month. But after that, then it gets very difficult. We also get the 5 subs in these games. So, you know, imagine if Champions League was 3 subs only. I think Klopp would be in a big state. What's helped us over the last few 8 weeks or the last 2 months is that we've been in competitions that have allowed us to play 5 subs, apart from the fucking Premier League, bunch of twats. And that's not actually the league; it's the other clubs that not voting for it, the idiots, the Brexit managers. But every time we get that, we are able to manage people like Naby Keita and Thiago, which I think is the vital pivot of a one position in the squad, as we've talked about before, that needs to continue. So when you get games like this, where you have a Benfica and you've got and it's the level of opposition and then the 5 subs on top, which shouldn't affect it too much. You could probably change it up a little bit, and if need be, bring on
the players that need to take the game away. But having those two games, Dave, sandwiched in between two City matches, like you said, probably the best thing that could have happened, like you said, for the first half of the month.
Oh yeah,
absolutely nailed it. Up
Go
to the
and
16th.
wallop them away. Go and wallop them away.
Absolutely.
You get a 5-day rest or 4-day rest, and then the City games on the 5th day. And then you can rotate the squad heavily for that second leg. Remember we bet Porto 5-0 a couple of years ago? It was the year we won it.
That's right.
And then Klopp was able to rotate for the second leg. That's what we're looking for.
It was both years. It was both years. The first year we walloped them 5-0. Second year we walloped them 4-1.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But we were able to rotate for the second leg, and that's fine. Go and wallop them away. Get that comfortable lead. Go to City. And then from there, it does get tough. But if we can rotate heavily in that second leg, whereas they probably won't be able to, because they're playing Atletico Madrid,
exactly,
who are going to be horrible for them. They've got Atletico on the Wednesday.
Exactly the same fixtures, exactly the same days as well.
Oh, are they not the other day?
No, they're the same day, but the opposite way round. So they're at home first time, and then they're travelling away before the FA Cup.
But we're playing on the Tuesday. I think they're playing. I think they do the Tuesday. No, sorry, they do the Wednesday Tuesday thing, and don't we have the Tuesday?
No, we're on the same night, I'm sure. We're on the same
I
night.
don't think we are. I think the two Madrid clubs are playing the same night, so we can't be. I'm almost certain the two Madrid clubs are same night.
No, it's Tuesday and Wednesday, same as us. Man City's on Tuesday the 5th.
They are. Sorry, that's my mistake. That's my mistake.
Yeah. No,
right,
no.
But either way, they're playing Atletico Madrid.
Exactly.
So you've got Atletico Madrid, then you've got to go to Madrid. You've got to go to Madrid for the second leg and then face us in the FA Cup. That's horrendous for them. So, they've also got Burnley on the 2nd of April, which is a harder game for them away than us having Watford at home.
And is that on a Sunday as well?
Both games are the same day.
Oh, right.
We play at 12:30, they play at 3 o'clock.
Right.
So if we beat Watford, we're top, and then they have to react. They have to respond.
And that's the first time in ages that's happened,
Yeah, so. and then the next game is us against them.
So what my point is that having those two games sandwiched for City allows us, like you said, with what you just played out, if that could happen, it would be the ideal situation where you could literally go full pelt for both those two City games. Yeah, and that would really put a cat amongst the pigeons, because literally those two games are the pivotal games for the quad. That is the week. Those two, and that's the 6 days.
Like, we can rotate for the Watford game, go full strength Benfica away, wallop them, go full strength City, beat them, rotate against Benfica in the second leg at home.
At home, yeah.
And then play them, and then play City in the cup. Whereas, sure, they can rotate for Burnley, but then they're going to have to go full strength Atleti, full strength us, full strength Atleti, and then full strength us again in the cup semi-final. So we're only going to have to play our best 11, shall we say, 3 times in those 5 games. They've got to play them 4 times in those 5 games, unless the very unlikely happens and they do hammer Atletico in the first leg. But I don't think they will. And even if they do, their second leg is still away from home.
Yep.
You're not going to want to go to Madrid. Even if you're 3 up, you're not going to want to go and mess about.
Stadium's amazing. Look what happened with us. We were 2 up, and then they pulled us back. It just can happen in that stadium, man. That stadium's mental.
They have the right mentality as well, where they don't care. They don't care who you are. They don't care what your reputation is. You can be guaranteed Diego Simeone is sitting down, smiling to himself, thinking, Pep is soft as shit. His team are soft as shit. And my team are going to volley them into the stand.
I hope they do,
because we don't care. We will volley them. We're going to make them really uncomfortable. We're going to bully them. We're going to bully them.
I'd rather a Madrid derby in a semi and Liverpool Bayern, to be honest. That'd be fine by me.
Oh yeah, 100%. But here's the thing: like, City also have Ruben Diaz injured.
Is he back training or anything? Sai was saying he was back. I'm not sure. Is he going to be back for our games?
He was told 5 to 6 weeks, and that was a week and a half ago. So he shouldn't be, unless Pep has them on the steroids again.
Yeah, that's what God said. It's the horse placenta, yeah. So I'm just reading it now. Pep provides encouraging Ruben Diaz update ahead of FA Cup quarter final. I'm showing to 6 weeks, and now on Thursday he said defender may return to training. Wow. He's returned to training already?
I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't believe anything Guardiola says, regardless.
Well, I hope they rush him back, because that first game against Atleti, he's going to break.
Rush him back. Put him out against Burnley. And watch what
Matt Parton has confirmed. They've put training images of him out already.
Oh, well then. Yeah, grand. Rush him back. There's no way he's 100%. We've seen Pep rush players back before and it hasn't gone well. We've seen him rush back Kevin De Bruyne. It hasn't gone well. And in fact, it's hampered De Bruyne ever since, how quickly Pep brought him back a few times. We saw what happened. Pep's the entire reason Thiago Alcantara had a reputation as being injury prone at Bayern, because he missed over a year, basically, because Pep kept rushing him back, sending him off to Barcelona to get steroids and horse placenta and whatever else injected into himself, and then rushing him back. And he kept having reoccurrences. So, yeah, rush him back. 24-year-old centre-back that your club plans to build around for the next 6 years. Absolutely rush him back after a muscle injury. And let's see what happens to him, Pep. And let's see what happens when he goes up against Atletico Madrid and he's got João Felix running off on one side and Griezmann running off on the other side, and he has to turn and sprint after him. Let's see how that works out for you. And then you get Liverpool a few days later with Salah, Mane, Diaz and Jota all running at him. Seems like a good plan. Oh, then you've got to go to Madrid and do the same, and then you get Liverpool again. Yeah, that seems like a good plan, Pep. You do that. Play him in all the games, sure. Why don't you? Play him in all the games and see what happens to him and see how well he is then for your title running, which, by the way, their title running, harder than our title running.
Is it?
Yes, without question.
I thought ours was harder, mate. No. Let's have a look.
Right.
Let's have a quick look. Go on,
out of the City semi-final, our 7 remaining league games will be Aston Villa away. Stevie's not taking the title from us.
No.
They're garbage, by the way. United at home, 3 points. Easy 3 points. Everton at home, easy 3 points. Newcastle will be safe and on the beach by then. Spurs at home, that's the only game I'm looking at with any kind of worry. Southampton away, Wolves at home. Wolves season will be over. They'll be on the beach. City, on the other hand, City come out of that semi-final. They've got Wolves away. And that's the same Wolves team that gave them all manner of problems at the Etihad.
It's been postponed, that one.
It has, but that game's still to be played, is what I'm saying. There's 7 games left. It's still to be played. They still have to play them, regardless of it being postponed. That's a very difficult place to go. We found that, and Wolves gave them all manner of trouble. And if you think Wolves have forgotten that they got screwed out of a point there, you're massively mistaken. Their fans have been talking about it since. They get Brighton at home, they get Watford at home, they're easy enough. They get Leeds, they get Newcastle. But then they get West Ham away. West Ham is one of the toughest places in the league to go.
This season, yeah.
West Ham have beaten us. West Ham have beaten Chelsea. West Ham have given United a torrid time and were robbed in that game. West Ham gave City a decent game at the Etihad. I believe they beat Spurs at the London Stadium as well this season. They've got Wolves away and West Ham away. And while people will overlook them, that's 2 really difficult games. Really, really difficult games.
The Spurs is at home for us, right?
Spurs are home for us.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now, Spurs will be pushing for 4th, but still, we're a better team than Spurs and we're at home. They've got to go to Wolves and to London to play West Ham. Those are far more difficult games than Spurs at home. Even though Spurs are a better team than both of them, they're still away. And West Ham would love nothing more. Moyes would love nothing more than to shove it up Pep's backside. And that's a West Ham team, by the way, that'll still be in the mix for Europa League spot. So they'll need those 3 points. And then they get Villa on the last day of the season. You don't think Gerrard, Coutinho might have a little bit of extra if it means taking the title from them and giving it to us? You don't think that won't matter to them? So while I think we'll beat them comfortably and Villa aren't any good, Villa will at least cause them problems. But the 2 games to look at there are Wolves away and West Ham away. They're much tougher than what we have. Ours looks tough on paper because, you see Man United, you see Everton. The bottom line is United are crap. And Everton could well get relegated.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing to fear with either of those.
No.
There's nothing to fear.
They're both at home.
They're both at home.
Games at Anfield, you don't fear.
No.
You just
That's
don't.
why I don't worry about Wolves at home on the last day or about Spurs, because they're at home. I'd rather play Spurs and Wolves at home than Wolves and West Ham away every single day of the week. Every single day of the week. I'd rather have our run in than theirs.
And, Dave, we need to also add in that if City get past Atletico,
they're playing Chelsea or they're playing Real Madrid.
Guess where that's going to sit? That's going to sit between Watford at home and Leeds away, and then it's going to sit between Leeds away and Newcastle at home. So it's not too bad. Not too bad.
It's still going to be very difficult games.
Yeah. I mean, Newcastle again. We've got them at home as well. No, we've got them away, haven't we? Newcastle.
We play Newcastle away at the minute. It's set for the 30th of
April,
but that'll have to be moved. If we get through, that game has to be moved because you can't play a Premier League game on the Saturday after a Wednesday Champions League game. I think we're set for the Wednesday Champions League game there. So that can't take place that day. That'll have to get pushed.
Oh, that's great.
So that helps. That helps. But look, either way, you'd much rather have our run. I don't care that it's got United and it's got Everton. I'd rather have our 2 toughest games be at home than our 2 toughest games be away. And the other thing about City as well this season is they've dropped points away to Palace. They've dropped points twice. They've dropped points twice against Palace, twice against Southampton. What do both of those teams do? Press like demons. They've got to play Leeds as well. Now, Leeds are dreadful defensively, but Leeds will press and press and press, and at least make it tough on them. At least they'll run them into the ground. Gerrard also has his team pressing. So they're going to face the type of teams that they've found it hard against. They'll also play Brighton, who are in a dreadful run of form, but they're really well organised defensively.
Yeah, they do.
And the result. So this City team are not as strong as their record suggests.
No.
At the time, I think they were on course for like 106 points or something in the league. They won't get close to that now. And I don't even know whether we have to beat them at the Etihad to win the league. I genuinely think if we can get a draw there, we can still go on and win the league. Because, like I say, I think they're running harder.
It's an interesting point. I think to nail it, if we win it there, it's pretty much going to be like that's going to hurt them. Mentally.
Win it, and all we have to do is win out.
Yeah, and also with them is that Manchester City are always good when the pressure's off. In terms of when they know that there's no one around them, they're relaxed and they play well. They're the ultimate relaxed team. If there's no pressure on them, they're just going to beat you with patience and drive through you and destroy you. When the pressure's on, though, when they can see us coming, they've started dropping points. When they could see that point gap is diminishing, they've started dropping points even more. Now, when it comes to the next game and, Burnley, that's going to be really interesting, especially if we're top. How they react. If they blow them away, great. That means now we're in this is a big title race. If they drop points there, Dave, at Burnley. Then we don't even have to beat them.
No. Like I say, I don't think we necessarily would have to beat them anyway. I don't think we have to beat them anyway. I think we can get a draw and still win.
We haven't beaten them for 2.5 years, is the other thing. Okay, so that's the other worry for me.
Yeah, but that's fine. But last season doesn't count.
Yeah, last season doesn't count.
Last season they were playing against Jordan Henderson at centre back.
It's very
give me a break. They're celebrating the win at Anfield. Jordan Henderson was centre back, lads. You might as well have brought someone down from the stand. Last season, throw it out. This season, they gave us a good game at Anfield, there's no doubt. Salah destroyed them, though. Left all of them on the floor multiple times.
Yeah.
So this City team don't scare me. The 17, 18, 18, 19 teams, they scared me.
With Sane.
When they had Sane and Aguero and David Silva and a younger De Bruyne, they had Sterling at his best. They were sensationally good. They were terrifying. They could just cut you open. They just turn it on.
We missed Trent in the game at Anfield as well, didn't we? We had Milner right back.
Yeah, exactly. But they just turn it on and all of a sudden they'd be 2 goals up. This team can't do that. This team doesn't do that. You watch City play, and a lot of people class them as boring. But when you watch this City team play, what are they actually doing? They're just tiring the opposition out. They're breaking them down and breaking them down. And what they're really doing is waiting for a mistake. They're waiting for the opposition to make a mistake. And then they get a goal. And then the opposition have to open up again. Or open up a bit, and then City will do the same thing. They'll wear them down, and then they'll pounce on a mistake. Or if the opposition team really opens up, then they can take advantage of that. But as we saw against Palace, and I don't know what game Paul Merson watched, I don't know what game Guardiola watched, the idea that City played really well, the idea that City had enough chances to win multiple games, it's just not true. It's just not true. They had a couple of half chances. They had a couple of half chances and a couple of shots from distance. And that's it. They didn't really break that Palace team down at all. The best chance they got came from the goalkeeper spilling a fairly straightforward shot. That's it.
Yeah, it was a mistake, really. It was a mistake from Palace, really, wasn't it?
That's not a good performance. He missed a sitter
because, he touched it wide.
Heavy touch.
Yeah, it was a heavy touch because of a keeper mistake. It was nothing to do with beautiful football. No, not at all.
Create much at all. Rebound. And the shot that hit the post was Cancelo from distance. They did very little in that game.
Yeah, when people say, "Oh, but they hit the post," Jesus, that's like a 0.01 chance of going in. Exactly. Yeah, he hit the post because he's supposed to hit the post.
But here's the thing, right? Why is that an excuse for them? Oh, but they hit the post. Salah hit the post twice against Inter Milan.
Yeah.
And yet we apparently got played off the pitch, even though we had more possession, more shots, more corners, the better chances in the game, and basically controlled the game for most of the 90 minutes. These narratives that people want to spin in their head. Well, Pep Guardiola said, I don't care what Pep Guardiola said. Fella couldn't lie straight in his bed. He's a compulsive liar, like most of them. Pep Guardiola's the same fella that spent 100 million on Jack Grealish because he's the best coach in the world and was going to turn him into a number 8. And after one game, he binned that off. And now what he's trying to do is shoehorn Jack Grealish into his team. Shoehorn him in on the left, shoehorn him in as a false 9, and none of it's worked. He's been garbage this season. So I just hope, my biggest hope for the 2 City games is that Pep starts Grealish. Because then we're playing against 10 men, because that's a nothing footballer.
He's not going to chase back. He's not going to work hard. It's going to be, that's the beautiful thing. If
you get certain boffins like Michael Cayley. Oh, he's been incredible this year. He leads the league for dribbles and passes into the box. He's averaging 5 shots or shots assisted per 90. Right, so you haven't actually watched a single minute of him this season, Mr. Cayley.
Yeah, I think it's the XG that will be interesting. I don't think that will be very high.
Absolute horseshit.
So if he's passing to someone on the edge of the box and they're shooting and it gets him a chance created, fuck off.
Yeah. Or if he dribbles into the very corner of the penalty area or passes to an overlapping fullback in that spot who can't do anything because they've got 2 defenders on top of him. Oh, it's a pass into the box. It's a dribble into the box. get the lube out and have a fiddle with yourself. These people just need to settle themselves down.
We do.
This is not a classic City team.
No,
this is not a City team for us to fear. If they win the league, they'll win the league because we dropped too many points early season.
On. Yeah.
That's what it'll be.
I just wanted to come back to Salah. You just mentioned we do really need Mo back, though, as in he's not scored an open play goal for a while now. It's all been penalties, hasn't it? So if we want to do the quad, surely you need Mo back in open play goals, scoring those again, yeah? For sure.
The concern is, Gags, that he's way off now to play for Egypt in 2 massive games against Senegal. Like, massive games with the World Cup qualification.
It's likely he won't be going to the World Cup.
Yeah, now, obviously, that's a great thing for us if he's still here next year.
Mm-hmm.
If he's still here next year, brilliant. I'm delighted he's not going to the World Cup.
Yeah.
And imagine how pissed off he'll be all the next season, so he'll just go on a rampage. But the fact of the matter is, the guy is exhausted. Like, look at how much he played at the AFCON. He basically played 8 full games in like 24 days, when you include the extra time. 8 full games.
It's awful.
And that's carrying a team by yourself. A bunch of lads, with no disrespect meant, a bunch of lads that would struggle in the championship. And he got them to the final of the AFCON. Do you know,
Absolutely.
like he had all that on him, and he still did that. Played every minute. Played three or four straight extra times. He looks exhausted, and I'm worried that he's going to come back even more exhausted
mentally
from
more
these
than anything.
games.
Yeah, and that was one of my next questions, was fatigue and form, and that's where we're going next with this. So obviously, to do a quadruple, you can afford, obviously, to be out of form and just nail wins like we have been doing. But what do you think of our current form, how we're playing, and also what do you think of the fatigue side of things? Because obviously, one thing I do really like about this season is Klopp has, even Simon Brundish is saying, Klopp is playing it to a T in terms of rotation. Like, he's never done it better. So I think maybe with the fatigue side, we can say we're really going to be looking after the players. Now it's all about whether the people that come in are going to be able to perform as well as, especially when there's game. This is where we got lucky with Benfica, but later on, say later in April and early May, those people that come in, can they go and play against the likes of Bayern and do it, things like that. So that's where the worry is going to be.
So myself and Matchett were looking at this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I think Konate will play the 2 Benfica games.
I do.
Because, right, here's what it is, right? Robbo is going to play probably every game between now and the end of the season. I think Robbo, we've got 18 games left, and I think Robbo probably plays all of them. That's 18 games. Assume we get.
I think Benfica home. If you're
free and clear, fine. Ali's going to play pretty much all of the games. Again, that Benfica one maybe. Virgil will play all of those games, and assuming he's fit, Trent will play all of those games. Joel is the question mark because he has been rotated a lot more than the others this season, and he is the one that's injury prone. So we're very lucky that we have Konate. So I think Konate plays both Benfica games, and I think he plays United at home and maybe even the Champions League semi-finals. And then Joel can play the rest. So Joel basically plays the league games bar United, because the rest of them are 1 a week, and maybe he plays the FA Cup semi-final. And that way, Konate might get 5 more games this season, and Joel gets the rest of them. Or Konate might play the FA Cup as well, I don't know. But I think we can rotate Konate there. So that's one of the 3 positions I'd look at and say, let's keep an eye on that right-sided centre-back role.
Should you play Gomez right back in some Premier League games that Trent could rest in, do you think? Say like Everton.
Ideally,
no.
Ideally, no, because we don't play the same style at all. Because Gomez is about as much use going forward as a lollipop. Very good defensively, but hopeless going forward. Like, nice touch, can knock it past someone and run down the line.
But the cross isn't there.
His crossing shit. He can't shoot. His passing is great when the game's in front of him, so from centre back or even from right back. But when he's advanced in the play, his passing's not great. He could maybe play Watford because they're a bit shit. He could maybe play Everton. You could beat Everton with Joe at right back. Maybe Newcastle as well, and that would give Trent. So Trent could just play the Champions League game in between those two. So those three may be for Joe. But Trent will play the vast majority. I think Konate will play a big chunk of the games, potentially as many as 7 or 8 if we get to all the finals.
Yeah. Because remember, if you get to the FA Cup final, Southampton has to move too.
Yes, Southampton has to move as well.
Midweek before the Wolves game.
Wolves game.
You could literally have 2 games to win the title.
Yeah, literally.
Fuck, how exciting.
Having already won a cup double, and you could have 3 games left. They could be 2 games to win the title and a game to win the Champions League.
Fuck.
The other positions then, the front 3, there's 5 options, and to be fair, there's a good case to heavily rotate the front 3, other than Mo. Mo needs to play all the big games, but the others, there's games there for Bobby.
He's doing that already.
Man City hate the sight of Bobby. Hate the sight of him.
I'm not even worried.
No, I'm not worried either. But so that's fine. Fab will play the vast majority of games. There might be 1 or 2 starts in there for Henderson, but the problem is that the other really injury-prone player in our team is Jordan Henderson. And like Joel, he hasn't had an injury yet this season.
He's been rotated though, Dave. He's not starting every game.
He's had the most starts of anybody at the club. So what he's been done is he's been subbed off early. Now, oftentimes it's because he's been hauled off.
Yeah, he has lots of games.
I don't think he plays in Benfica.
Maybe
I don't think he starts either of the games against Benfica. I think he plays Watford as the 6th. And then I think he starts the 2 City games as one of the 8s. And then after that, we'll wait and see. The other side, it's going to be Naby or Thiago. One will start every game as long as the 2 of them are fit.
Yep.
Klopp will start. I think he might go Thiago Watford, Naby Benfica, Thiago City, Naby Benfica, Thiago City, Naby United, Thiago Everton, and so on and so forth. Now, it might switch. If we get the Champions League semi-final, I think he puts Thiago in against Bayern. Yep. But I think that's what he does. So I think that position's fine. The front 3 is fine. The 2 positions I'm worried about are the right side of midfield and as an extension, the 6, because Henderson is the backup 6, and you don't want him playing there because you want him rested when he's not playing as the 8. And then that right side centre-back role. They're the positions I'm worried about in terms of fatigue, in terms of track record. We don't have many seasons of examples of Jordan Henderson not picking up an injury. We don't have seasons of examples of Joel Matip not picking up an injury when playing this much.
Exactly. I think it's because they have really, really looked after the management this time. They really have, Dave. Like, they've picked and chose.
Well, Henderson's had to play a lot purely because others have been injured. Yeah. Harvey missed most of the season. Curtis Jones went missing for 8 weeks or whatever with the eye injury. Naby's missed a bunch. Thiago's missed a bunch. So he's had to play. Otherwise, he would have played a whole load less. But my biggest concern is him, because I know we've got Konate as the centre-back and we've got Gomez. So if Matip gets hurt, I'm not all that worried. We've got 2 great options to step in. Henderson is the one I'm worried about, because if Thiago and Naby are in a strict rotation on the left side, well, who's coming in on the right side? Ox? No thanks. Curtis? Maybe. Harvey? It's an awful lot of pressure to put on a 19-year-old kid who's missed most of the season and hasn't looked great since coming back. And Curtis, I like him. I like him a lot more in that right-sided role than the left-sided role. But he's 2021. He hasn't had a particularly good season. It's a lot of pressure to put on a young kid.
I think you're right. I think Hendo's going to be playing Premier League football because look at what happened with the Inter games. He played, what, 25 minutes?
Yeah.
25 and 31, 50 minutes over, 55 minutes, 56 minutes overall.
I think he'll try and hold him out of... As long as we're still in the mix for the league title, I think he'll try and hold Henderson out of the Champions League.
Yeah, and I think that's fine, because that's what's needed. We don't need a panicker in the CL games. We need people that are going to hold the ball and take it to the teams and drive them and beat them. And I think Klopp pretty much probably knows that the CLs now looks like the big chance for a big, trophy. Like a big chance. If you think which is more likely, you got 5 games to a trophy and you don't have to win all 5. Whereas 9, you've got to win 9. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It obviously, it depends on City. If they drop points, then we can afford to maybe drop a point or two here or there. The bottom line is we've got 18 games left, and it's going to be very, very difficult to win all 18 games. The likelihood is we'll drop...
16, I think.
9 in the league.
Yep, 5 in the CL.
Oh, 5 in the CL. Sorry, I thought it was 7. Yeah. So, 16 games left. Sorry, 16 games left.
So you've taken some fatigue off already.
Yeah, there you go. I've already solved that problem. So that makes it work a bit better with, say, if Kanate plays 6 games and Matip plays 10, that's a decent balance to strike.
That's good. Yeah.
Naby and Thiago, maybe they get 8 each. Maybe one of them gets 9, the other one gets 7. That's a decent balance.
Yeah.
Maybe Fabinho plays 14 or 15,
it's gonna
and Henderson fills in there 1 game, and maybe Henderson plays 10 as an 8, and Curtis gets 4, and Harvey gets 2, something like that. Rob will play probably all of them. Maybe Benfica away he won't. I think Trent will play all bar a couple. Virgil, I'd be surprised if he doesn't play every single one of them. And Ali the same. I think they have to play. I think Klopp has made that decision that if we're going on the pitch from now on, those 2 are going to be in the team because, well, they're the 2 most important players we have.
Yeah, like you
said,
said,
our entire system depends on them.
Benfica away is the only one I can see. Sorry, home is the only one I can see where there's crazy changes. If we're 3-4 up, that's the
even
only
at that, Ali's playing.
Yeah, Ali will play, but not VVD could be rested.
Yeah,
stuff like
you can
that.
bring in Joe at centre back.
So talking about that,
and Mo is the other one that'll probably play
majority
close to all of them.
So talking about the fatigue thing we just talked, which we're focusing on at the moment, how important is what Klopp's done here now in the international break in terms of Trent? There's a lot of things that we're hearing that Trent's not injured at all.
Trick.
Exactly. Robbo, COVID. I think that may be true because I think, all the players that weren't in that you expected, like Curtis and Milner and a couple of others that you would, Kelleher, that you would expect on the weekend. I think they may have all had it. So that's a rumor. I'm not sure, but that may have been the case. So you're thinking that's true, but okay, nowadays COVID, if they're all vaccinated, shouldn't be too much of a problem. They'll be back next week, and probably the best time to get it. If
Scotland were playing Ukraine as they were meant to, Andy Robertson would be gone on the international trip. It doesn't matter what he has, Andy Robertson would be gone because it's a World Cup qualifier. I think Andy probably is
Naby
sick.
as well.
Naby, I don't think is injured.
Nope, exactly.
I don't think Naby's injured, and I don't think Trent is injured. I think Naby's having his best season for us. He has been outstanding this season. He has been our best midfielder from August to now. Fab has had the best season overall because when Fab gets to his highest level, it's just he's the best in the world at what he does. But Naby from August to now has been our best midfielder. He's the one that's consistently been 7 at a minimum. He's had maybe 1 or 2 bad games all season. And even in one of them, he scored a worldie away to Atleti. But I do wonder if maybe Klopp has had a word and said, look, we've stuck by you. I've stuck by you for 4 years through a lot of injuries. When people told me to sell you, when people said you weren't worth the trouble because you're always hurt, most of those injuries you picked up away with that national team. Those are 2 friendly matches that mean absolutely nothing. But we have a 2-month run here after this where we can become icons and win everything. And I think Naby said, yeah, fine.
And I think Naby, actually, it's more the manager of Guinea. We said I think Klopp's done a deal with him here, kind of like we rested him against Chelsea when he should have played at Stamford Bridge before they all went. We should have won that game. If he'd played, we would have won that game. The last game that Hendo and Milner played together in midfield, I think. So
hopefully the last game they ever played together.
So that there, we rested him there, and we did a good job in letting him go, and all that. I think we really built some relationship and ties there. And I think he's just said to them, "Look, I need him. I've got Thiago here already. I've got 4 or 5 positions that I'm really struggling with. My fullbacks, I'm struggling with that left side where I've got Thiago or Keita." And obviously the 6, but he can't do nothing about the 6. He's got to go. But hopefully he doesn't play for Brazil, Fab. If the other guys are fit, that's normally first choice. So
Casemiro and Fred.
Casemiro, hopefully. So if Casemiro plays, it's fine. And if Fab plays one game, it's not a bad result. At least he got some game time, and that's not too bad. And plus, probably good to get away and spend some time with a different squad. And they seem like they have a great time. So it's not too bad. As long as he doesn't play every minute, it's not too bad. But it was vital to have Naby and Thiago back here at home. Vital to try and keep Robbo and Trent from going and playing more minutes this season. Those, like we've already talked about and you've mentioned, those are, you talked about anything, you talk about the fullbacks, they need to be there. You talk about that left side in midfield, made a big difference.
Yeah.
You talk about the 6. Now, if they're free of injury and fit for this final run-in, and then we manage it because of those 5 subs we get in the midweek and we get in the FA Cup, and then we get in midweek again because of the Champions League, it's going to be a sports scientist dream again. So, just fingers crossed that's what the case is. Klopp's playing 4D chess with everyone, fucking them all over. Maybe, hopefully, City get a few injuries on international break with their players. Man, it could be an amazing run towards this the finish here. It really could be. But I think we've got the defining week coming up very, very soon, so we'll know early on whether this is going to happen or not, because it's all going to kick off. So, Dave, I go on holiday in April during that really crunch time, and I'm off around I'm off on the 9th, back on the 14th, so I get to miss the 10th and the 13th, which is Man City away and Benfica home. And guess what the last time was when I went away like that at Easter? The Champions League winning season. So we played Chelsea at home and Bayern Munich away. I watched both of those games pretty much whilst on holiday. So I'm taking it as an omen, mate. I'm taking it as an omen. That one is at least in the bag. So I'm gonna change the question here now. What would be the minimum you'd like now from the season? What's the minimum, mate?
Minimum is one more, even if it's the FA Cup. If we get 2 cups, finish second in the league, and get to the Champions League semi-final, that's a successful season. That's a really successful season. The minimum target for this club every year moving forward has got to be in the title race, late rounds of the Champions League, and win a domestic cup. As a minimum, a baseline, that's got to be it. If you can take both domestic cups, that's a successful season. It just is, especially if you're, pushing City right to the last few games. If you're in the Champions League last 4, that's a successful season. So from here, FA Cup, beat Benfica, and nobody can complain. Nobody can complain that that's not a successful season. It's not the season we want, but the likelihood is that we're going to end up disappointed somewhere, that we're not going to win all 3.
Yeah.
And people need to keep perspective on the fact that nobody has ever won all 4 competitions.
Nope.
Nobody.
Never, ever.
City have won 3. United have won 3. We won 3.
Yeah, and the 3 that they won are winning an FA Cup, a double, right? It's the treble is still incredible. I get it, right? The domestic one, but if it's when the Carling Cup or whatever it is, the Carabao's involved, and then if you're knocked out of the Champions League early, like probably City was in that year,
when they won quarterfinals, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Then it makes it easier, right? Because you've got the semis, and you've got only the FA. Because then you're playing Premier League games weekly.
It is, but still, if you can win 3 trophies in 1 year, I don't care It's really
amazing.
impressive. And no one had ever won that domestic treble before.
No.
I'm not going to sit here and disparage the fact that they won it because it was a great achievement.
Money was. It's sports.
Yeah, I mean, look, they cheated to do it, but that's just how it is.
That's it. That's key.
You know, it took them cheating to do it. If we can do it clean, if we do it clean, then that's far more vaunted than what they did. In the same way that if we win, say we win the league, the Champions League, and we don't win the FA Cup, but we win the League Cup, that's more impressive than United's treble, on the grounds that we're going to end up with more points in the league in all likelihood than United got that season.
And we had Man City.
And we have this sports washing franchise in the blue part of Manchester, and we've Chelsea. They didn't have to deal with Chelsea either.
Yeah.
They didn't have Roman's money. When United won that treble, it was them and Arsenal, and that's it.
And it won't be the first time we do that treble, by the way. We've done that before.
No,
haven't we?
We've done that treble before. So that's what I mean. Like, there's only been, to my knowledge, 4 trebles done by an English team. We've done 2 of them.
Yep.
European Cup League title and League Cup, UEFA Cup, FA Cup, League Cup.
Yep.
United did theirs, City did theirs. So, you know, but no one's ever done the quadruple. And those are the only teams that can really say they got close to it because they won 3 of them. And not us, because we didn't win the league or the Champions League, but the others. They can say they won 3 of them. They got close to it. But no one else has ever, like, it's never been done. It's so difficult. But what I would hate, my biggest fear is we win the league, we win the FA Cup, and we lose the Champions League final, and everyone loses perspective over what the season was. And everybody gets in a big downer. Because you know there will be a group of fans that would love for that to happen, so they'd have something to moan about.
Yeah, people are like expecting the quad. That's what I just want to stay away from. It's like Dave said, it's really hard to do, folks. Can we do it? It's probably the only team in our history that probably could do it right now.
We can do it purely on the basis that we're still in all the competitions. We're a point off the title. We've got a favourable draw in the Champions League. And if we beat City, you'd expect us to win the FA Cup because we should beat either of the other 2 in the final. But can and will are very different things.
Yep.
That's why I said at the start of this, it's not a yes, it's not a no, it's a maybe. And just the fact that it's a maybe at this point in the season is such a massive achievement. Because our squad's not perfect.
No, not at all.
There's still a couple of holes in it. You know, you'd like cover for Trent. You'd like a better starting midfielder on the right-hand side because that's the weak link in our team, is that right side role. The one weak spot in our starting 11 is that right side of midfield. Everything else is buttoned up. Perfect.
Imagine if they did it, Dave. Imagine if they achieved this.
I'm not really going to allow myself to imagine, to be honest, because I don't want to end up being one of them that, you know, we win 3 and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, we could have won that. Like, and the worst part of it is you'd be losing the Champions League final, most likely to another English team. And that would cause a downer.
I would take a Champions League win right now.
I would take just winning the Champions League 100 times out of 100. I said to you back in August, we're better set up to win the Champions League than we are the Premier League. And I stand by that. The fact that we're winning the other cups as well, I think, proves that. We're really well set up to be a cup team. The league is a slog.
It's unbelievable what we've done.
But we've done brilliantly. The fact, like, we've bounced off 9 wins in a row, but to win the Premier League title, we'd have to win it on a run of 18 wins in a row. Assuming City only drop points to us, if they win their other games, we need to win 18 games in a row to win the Premier League title.
We've only done it once before.
Like, it's so hard to do.
And last time we did it, we won it.
Yeah, of course. And you know, we're capable of doing it. We know we are. But
I just love that people like Thiago, people like Naby, because obviously Naby's been slated loads. Thiago got slated when he first joined, especially by people like Didi Hamann and all that. I mean, the fact that
Didi Hamann should stay off the old sniff and the DRH.
you know, the fact that teams relying on these two players is a sweet moment for me because it just proves a lot of those doubters wrong. And I think I really want success for everyone in this squad, but there's a couple of players in there that would really, I think, could go. Someone like a Naby could go to another level if they're, you know, if they feel part of something that they've won it, you know, and that I think next year the shackles could really come off for a player and just say, right, I'm here, you know, I'm here. We're not missing Ginny anymore. We've got these two that are just doing a little bit more than he was, you know, just a little bit more than what he was doing on the ball, maybe. And it's making a big difference, man. So there's so much to be positive about. I really like everything that you've said. You're not getting carried away. You've really tempered it well, because normally you're an excitable person, especially when it's transfers. I was expecting Dave to come out and be bullshit and we're going to fucking do this. I was like, okay, I'll be the one that calms it. But I'm so glad that you've got your feet on the ground on this one, because I feel exactly the same way. I do not want anyone to complain about this team. Like you said, get past Benfica. This is incredible. Huh. 2 semi-finals, a title race, a cup one. I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't think we've ever done this before.
The only way this season ends up disappointing is if we don't win anything from here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. We've got to win something.
And that's basically where it is. But at the start of the season, we did one of these, and I said to you, I think we can win the Champions League. I'd like to see us do well in the domestic cups, because normally we don't bother. This season we have bothered, and we won one, and we're in the final of the other, or semi-final of the other. But I thought we'd finish third in the league. I didn't think we had as good a group as City, in that, while we've got more players, or Chelsea. Chelsea are the big disappointment this season in the league.
Yeah.
But you look at City, and yeah, we have more players than them. But if you're talking like top shelf players, they have more than us.
100%.
I think individually ours are better than theirs. Like, you look at a combined 11 for all that'd be worth. We would have more players in than them, but on the bench, there'd be more of them than there would of us. And when you look at an entire match day 20, there'd be more City players than Liverpool players. But at the same time, I think what we've been able to do this season and the balancing act that Klopp has struck, I think there's a massive chip on the shoulder of most of this team because of what happened last year and all that bullshit about how we were the worst defending champions ever and all that nonsense. And all the injury stuff that was just completely overlooked to suit certain agendas. I think this group...
All backtrack now.
All of it's... people forgetting that they had those takes.
Neville especially.
Don't you worry. I have kept receipts. So I'll be bringing some receipts if we wipe the floor with everybody by the end of the season. I'll be bringing all the receipts. I have eons of them to come. All those BBC Muppets, not one of them picked us to finish first. Most of them picked us to finish third. Some of them picked us to finish fourth. Nadem Anua, I'm coming for you. Said United would finish above us. They'd be lucky to get into the Champions League this year. For the Arsenal
the Ronaldo overreaction was crazy.
Shit anyway. Who cares? Put him on a plane to America, tell him it's going somewhere else and see what happens. That's what I think you should do with him. But no, I thought we'd finish third. So I'm regardless, anything from here in the league is a bonus as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. I thought we could win the Champions League. I still believe we can and very likely could win the Champions League. FA Cup will be tough. But I'm happy that we're in a semi-final, Gags. I just wish it wasn't at Wembley.
Yeah,
that's the only
talks.
thing.
It's never going to get moved because of Club Wembley tickets. But there's talks that there's a lot of fan movement, and also the rail stuff. The rail stuff is a nightmare.
It should be at Old Trafford. If there's the Club Wembley stuff, my arse, you can move that because the FA will just take ownership of Old Trafford for the weekend. So they can move all the Club Wembley stuff there if they need to.
Well, they got a game, haven't they, at Old Trafford? That's the problem.
Who cares what they have? Out to fuck. If there's two northern clubs playing in an FA Cup semi-final, it should be at Old Trafford. If there's two southern clubs playing in a semi-final, it should be at the City of London Stadium, the Tottenham Stadium, or the Emirates. Wembley should be for the final. I'm sick of saying it, but Wembley should be for the showcase.
I agree. If there's no problems as well, and like you said, there was always one in the Midlands, wasn't there? Now there's not a
Used
good
to be Villa
Midlands
Park,
stadium.
yeah. If you got a North versus South team, you stick it in Villa Park. And the only problem is Villa Park doesn't have a huge capacity, about 45,000. It's a little bit outdated. Exactly. It's still a good stadium. It's still a great place to go. And Cardiff would be perfect. 80,000.
Yeah, wonderful.
Absolutely. Why not put it in Cardiff?
Great stadium, great memeries as well.
If it's North versus South, put it in Cardiff. If it's North versus North, put it in Manchester. Or if we weren't in it and it was the two Manc clubs played at Anfield, and if it's two Southern clubs, there's three brilliant grounds in London. Emirates, Tottenham. Emirates is the oldest of the three, but still a great stadium. Tottenham or the London Stadium. Put it in one of them. Yeah. Stop playing semi-finals at Wembley. It takes away from the fact that a trip to Wembley meant a final. Not a semi-final. Like, no disrespect, because I really admire what they've done this year. But seeing Palace fans going on a bit, we're going to Wembley. Yeah, but you're going for a semi-final, lads.
Yep.
You can win that game and no one's handing you a trophy.
Yeah.
Do you know? And like that's what bugs me. Like, have the finals at Wembley, have the semi-finals. There's loads of other good stadiums. Loads of them. Eons of them.
Last thing before we go, and I do need to go in a bit, but there's a lot of talk about Liverpool deploying, again, a lot of psychological help for the team in terms of set pieces, in terms of winning mentality, all that stuff that they've done before. This season, more than ever, surely, this is going to be... if the positive things happen like we're hoping and it goes, how much of a, percentage difference do those... even if it's a percentage, a 0.5% change in performance, massive, right? Massive.
Yeah. Yeah, the fine margins are where when you go up into the upper echelons of the Premier League, like, there's very little difference between the quality of players and teams and managers. It is the very fine margins. It's all about preparation, because there's only so much a manager can do once the game starts. Like, he can have his team talk at half-time, but there's only so much he can do. He can make his substitutions. He can't guarantee the player's going to go on and do well. He can change the shape. He can't guarantee it's going to work. What he can do is, Monday to Friday, he can prepare the team as well as he possibly can. And for Jurgen Klopp, a big part of that is the psychological part of the game. You know, Guardiola goes deeply involved in his tactical approach. Thomas Tuchel does the same. Klopp does as well, obviously, but Klopp is also looking for every little avenue. If it's being slightly better at set pieces, slightly better at throw-ins. The fact that we went into a penalty shootout with a defined order of who was taking the penalties, and every single player had already made the decision where the ball was going. None of them stepped up and thought, right, where am I putting this? All of them knew straight away, this is where I'm putting this. I know what I'm doing from here. This is a practiced action. This is not me having to make a decision. This is not me versus the goalkeeper. This is me versus me. And as long as I do what I've already decided to do, and I know I can do, this is going in the back of that net. Look at the Virgil penalty and look at what the keeper does. 95% of players see the keeper standing there and have a little panic and think, I better put it the other side. And Virgil looked at him and thought, no, the ball's going there, and if he gets in the way of it, God bless him. And he battered it past him, like absolutely battered it past him. And that type of thing, that confidence, you could see in those Chelsea players. When our lads stepped up, they knew what they were going to do, and they were confident they could do it. As that penalty shootout went on, you could see it in their lads' nerves. You could see it in Werner. You could see it in Kante. You could see it in a couple of others. And a couple of them were making decisions as they ran up to the ball of where they were putting it. And as I said to you after that game, if Ali was in goal, he saves 2 or 3 of those penalties.
Yeah.
But every one of ours, including the goalkeeper, knew where he was putting his penalty. Queven Keller stepped up and he said afterwards it was hit and hope. Bullshit. He knew where he was putting that. He'd practiced that. Our lads knew. Those type of small things where you're prepared for every eventuality. Like, we've seen teams before go into penalty shootouts and someone says to me after, oh, did you practice penalties? Oh, we did. Yeah, we practiced yesterday after training. Oh, so you practiced once. That's not practice. That's having a kickabout. We had prepared for that. Jurgen Klopp has prepared this team for every eventuality, and he has made sure that every single action that our players do, whether it's a forward run, a covering run, a pass into a certain area, a blind cross, a throw-in, a set piece, whatever, every single one of them has been refined.
Yeah.
By practicing and practicing and practicing. And he will find, if there's something he's looking at and thinking, we can get a little bit better there, we can do that just a little bit better, he'll either find a solution internally, or he'll bring in a throwing coach, or he'll bring in a crowd like Neuro 11, and he'll get them involved. And Neuro 11, remember, they help in a number of different areas. But for them to be able to have that kind of input on the penalty side of thing as well, it's huge. But like our players, you look at City play.
We might need it twice, 2 or 3 times.
We might need
more.
a couple more times. and if we do, we'll be confident.
Yeah.
Like, you'd have no worries now about anyone. The only player in our squad, and I don't mean this as a dig, but the only player in our squad I would worry about stepping up to take a penalty is Jordan Henderson. The only one. He's the only one I'd worry about. Because I don't think he has the right mentality for it. Because I've seen him miss penalties in shootouts before, and I've seen him be taken off specifically before a penalty shootout, having come on as a substitute. Like, the fact that he was taken off in the Euros final, having come on as a sub, just to avoid the possibility he might have to take a penalty, that spoke volumes. The fact that Klopp took him off on 75 in the League Cup final spoke volumes. Taking off your captain in a final where there may be 45 minutes left, that's unheard of when he's not injured. It's unheard of. He's the only player I'd have a concern about. Like, all the 11 that took them in the cup final, perfect. Ali, no problem. Joe Gomez wouldn't have a concern. Matip wouldn't have a concern. Costas, he's putting the top bins. Thiago, he'll score.
Jones.
Curtis, he'd score.
Yeah.
Curtis would absolutely score.
Yeah.
Milner did take one, he'd score. Diaz would score. I believe Mane would score. And I think Bobby would score. The only one I would worry about would be Jordan Henderson. And, like, you just take him off. Just remove him from the situation.
I'd worry about Bobby a little bit. He's missed quite a few for us, I think.
In a big game, Bobby will score. Bobby's only missed like 2 penalties for us.
Yeah, mentality-wise, he's solid.
Bobby will be cold as ice. Bobby won't be phased. Henderson is phased. Henderson is rattled by that.
Yeah, he's
so
panicked.
you just remove him.
He's a panicker, don't you? Or
Yeah.
you can see it in the game. Yeah.
He panics when anyone presses him. He panics if he gets the ball and it's not perfectly to where he wants it. But you just remove him from the situation. Just take him off.
Absolutely.
If he's not on the pitch, you can't take a penalty. So that's it. No matter what happens, we are going to be ready. We'd play anybody in any circumstance, and no matter what happens, we will be able to react. If we go behind, we can react. If we go ahead, we know what to do. If the game opens up, we know how to play like that. If we want to shut a game down, we're absolutely capable of doing that. There's no circumstance we will get into where we're not ready and capable of. Whereas with City, they go behind, they look rattled. Because you can't just patiently wait to break a team down when you're one behind. And what happens is you get a bunch of supermen. You get Cancelo and De Bruyne and whoever else trying to shoot from 35 yards. You get basically a team of Steven Gerrards, circa mid-2000s, launching shots from 40 yards because he thinks, well, no one else is doing anything, so I better do it all myself. And that's what happens with that City team. They start to panic. It happened in that game against Palace. They started trying things that just weren't going to come off because they couldn't get the breakthrough. We will be really, really patient, and we will believe that as long as we keep doing our stuff, we will get a breakthrough. They don't have that gene. They used to have it, but all those players left. Who's the leaders in that City team? There isn't one, because they all left. Aguero left, Company left, Silva left. Fernandinho's still there, but he's rarely on the pitch. You look at us, we've got Virgil, we've got Robbo, we've got Fab, you've got Henderson, you've got Salah, you've got Mane. Captains galore. City don't have that. Chelsea don't have that. So I genuinely do think we are really well set up here to potentially have a chance to do this. Whether it happens or not, until we have them all, I won't believe we can do it all.
Yep, I agree.
But if there's one team that can do it, or one team that has a chance to do it, it is this group. It is this group. What a comeback tour that would be for Van Dijk.
Unbelievable.
You know, Champions League winner, league title runner-up, runaway league winner, misses the whole season, well, all bar 5 games, to then come back and win it all.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that's it. You might as well just cancel football at that point. We've completed it. There's nothing left for us to do.
Unbearables galore.
Turn it in.
It would be so funny unbearable. We would be so unbearable. It'd be so bad.
Oh, yeah.
But it'd be so good. Right, we're going to leave it there. We will be back, though. I think we're going to be back on the weekend. We'll see how many we can do to fill up next week because there's no games. But, yeah, you can join us on a Saturday. We're going to be doing, what time, Dave? Just after the morning and maybe another one in the afternoon. We'll see. We'll see if Dave can hold it up or not. But
I can hold it. Just stop. We'll just stop. I carry this place by myself. Well, everyone else. This man's going on holidays and he's missing 2 really important games. I'm missing 1. I'm going on holidays. I'm missing Southampton. Like a game we're going to win regardless. This fella's disappearing off for key games. Keep that in mind.
Kids, man. Kids are off at that time. That's the only time I can do it. But anyway,
excuses.
Great excuse. Okay, we're going to be back.
The only time the kids are off all summer.
No, can't. That's too expensive in the summer. Too expensive.
And
right.
You're rotten with money. Rotten with the stuff.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
We're going to go now. We will catch you. Thanks for listening, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know what you think. Give us a shout in Discord, AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. And, keep following everything we do. We appreciate your support as always. We'll be back on the weekend with another Old Skool. Keep getting Discord and let us know what you want us to talk about, but we'll probably talk about a lot anyway. Catch you then.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.